Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Ladies and gentlemen, all my vampire hunting unicorns, this landmark title for the Castlevania series is still heralded today as one of the greatest games ever made and a top 10 in probably many a gamer's repertoire. However, when the game first launched in 1997, it sold poorly until word of mouth made it where it is today. This year marks the 25th anniversary since the game was released in 1997, and I thought it was only right to give it the showcase it deserves. And for all of those who watched my Lords of Shadow video, oh yes, I remember to make a video for this one. The game was praised for its innovation and easily inspired many action-adventure games into the future. This game would have directly influenced many mainline entries into the Castlevania series. Konami was onto a winner, and I urge anyone who has yet to play this title to check it out, because it is truly a masterpiece featuring multiple endings and a truly satisfying amount of exploration inside Dracula's castle and beneath it, and when it's turned upside down as well. This video, however, is not just a passionate love letter to the game, but a story of revenge, because you see, when I was a child, this game murdered me, and it had the utmost pleasure in doing so. Now, 25 years later, it was time for me to get even with everything inside that castle. The plot of the Symphony of the Night is short, but does immerse you in the experience and makes you understand why you are doing the actions you will take. Further, so if you take advantage of the non-linear format the game takes and explore to the fullest, you will receive different endings. The game itself is a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood, where you start as Richter Belmont and take on Dracula. Although you cannot die during this encounter, you will find that Richter disappears and the castle appears 4 years later. Now you play as Alucard, the son of Dracula, whom was born from a human mother, Lisa, whom was executed by humans as they accused her of being a witch. On his journey, he will meet up with Maria Renard, who once fought alongside Richter. Maria informs you in brief passings that she is searching for Richter. Eventually, Alucard will confront Richter in the Colosseum and learns that he claims to be the new lord of the castle. In canon, Alucard finds Maria once more and she is convinced he is being controlled by another force. She finds a pair of holy glasses, which allows Alucard to see past illusions. She cautions Alucard to not hurt Richter when he eventually finds him. Upon finding Richter, we learn that he plans to resurrect Dracula. Using the holy glasses during the fight, Alucard can see the illusion of the spell controlling Richter. Upon dispelling the illusion, the castle inverts itself, and Alucard takes it upon himself to hunt down Shaft to prevent him from resurrecting his father. Defeating Shaft, unfortunately, still allows Dracula to be resurrected, and Dracula vows to end humankind because they executed his wife. The game ends with Dracula asking for forgiveness upon hearing that his wife's final plea was for him to not harm humanity, and that her final words were for her eternal love for him. There are a large variety of enemies you will encounter during your stay in Dracula's castle. Each you will learn their attacks to allow you to dodge, block, or kill them effectively. The variety is so large that some enemies may only appear in one room or corridor in the entire game. As you kill enemies, you will earn experience points, which will level up Alucard and give him additional hit points and stats, which you will absolutely be grateful for. This can offset the difficulty just a bit by allowing you greater room for error. The game does not explain your stats, but realistically your main concern will be your strength, which governs attack power, and constitution for defense. Outside of healing items such as food or potions or the odd spell, you really only gain health back through save rooms or finding life vessels, which can be found after killing bosses or through exploration. This further incentivizes you to explore, as there are technically many optional bosses in the game. Along with standard combat moves, which I will discuss shortly, Alucard can also transform into a wolf, which really only serves to speed through corridors once you acquire the power up to do so. He can also turn into mist to bypass certain roadblocks along the way, and finally he can change into a bat, which is his most useful form, with his ability to navigate everywhere, shoot fireballs when needed, or eventually use sonar to not only light one particular area which requires it, but to attack enemies. Each of these forms will become more powerful once you find the relevant power-ups, which, like life vessels, you will find through exploration, as they are nearly always hidden in areas you once could not progress until you found other power-ups. You can then turn on or off these power-ups in the menu. The combat within the game overall is fairly simplistic. You will have your staple weapon bashing to attack foes head on, or you can duck or attack or slash downwards for enemies coming at you at an angle, or even jumping to attack airborne enemies. It is up to you if you wish to equip shields for greater defense and the ability to block attacks, or use two-handed weapons, or even two one-handed weapons. Funnily enough, I rarely used the block button and opted for dodging in the vast majority of the game. You will pick up a lot of weapons throughout your playthrough, and you can judge which works out better for your playstyle. Some weapons slash slower, but for bigger damage. Some weapons, like the Holy Rod, are just godlike, with not only fast attack speed, which you can get early on in the game, but also at the end of each strike it emits a small burst of light, which can hit multiple enemies at once, or even enemies who are smaller in size. Eventually you will get your hand on the combat knife, and honestly it just breaks the game. Although its attack power is not the strongest, its attack speed in rapid succession makes it terrifyingly powerful, able to rip through enemies in seconds and even bosses in seconds as well. It's just crazily strong. It's worth noting some weapons have secondary effects or even special attacks. However, for the most patient, later in the game in the inverted castle, if you farm the schmoes in the library, you may have a chance to receive the most game-breaking weapon of them all, the Chrysogrim, allowing you to attack 4 times a second while walking, and it covers your upper, middle and lower portions, making you practically invincible. Projectiles used to annoy you? Say no more. Gone. Bosses? Cut them down in seconds. If you want this godlike powerhouse, remember that with great power comes great carnage. Roll the clip. On your rampage through the castle, you will come across collectible thrown items of an assortment, but these are quite a rare resource to find. Sub-weapons can only be used by collecting the hearts you may see fall from enemies or breakable objects throughout the game. You can also increase your max heart allowance by finding collectible heart vessels, similar to life vessels. Each sub-weapon will use a different amount of hearts. The annoying thing with sub-weapons is that you will most likely end up using them accidentally when moving, and I wish they had a separate button for use. My favourite sub-weapon are the daggers, as some enemies and bosses are exceptionally weak to these, and they can be thrown in rapid succession. From time to time, I may use the Bible. The only time I will ever use a Bible in my life. For hard to hit enemies or if surrounded. Alucard has the ability to cast spells at will, although I personally rarely use these. Mostly, I just happen to press certain button combos and he would begin to cast a spell. These spells can be learned by finding scrolls or purchasing them. It is important to note that Alucard knows these spells innately, but you as a player do not. A fact I'm sure many a hardcore fan would happily point out to you. To finalise his arsenal, you will find a few different familiars throughout the game, with most likely the first being the fairy, which will notify you of secret areas and also heal you. She can also carry the life apple, which can revive Alucard upon death, which can be really important on some of the most harder battles of the game, such as the final boss. Some of the other familiars have specific interactions with the environment or other fun little factors. My favourite is the sword for its high attack power, although it can get annoying due to the size of the space it takes up as it floats around. And finally, you can also play as Maria or Richter by naming your startup file as their names once you finish the main game. A nice trick for a different replayable experience, each with their own movesets. Before I talk further on exploration, I need to state that I refer to the word optional quite a bit. Optional can be seen in the sense that it is indeed an entirely optional boss, for example, or it is optional from the view that in order to complete the game at its most basic form is to confront Richter in Dracula's throne room. Obviously, doing this immediately ends the game, but you do finish it. Just not the way you would want to. Although a gigantic part of exploration, as it takes up multiple additional hours of game time, I will talk about the inverted castle more so when discussing the multiple endings. From the outset, although Metroid had influence on this title, it was modelled more closely after The Legend of Zelda and Castlevania II: Simon's Quest. The exploration aspect of this game cannot be understated. It is an integral cog in the clockwork runnings of this game. It is what makes this game the game it is. Without proper exploration, you can miss the entire inverted castle portion of the game, which is the second part of the game and required for the good endings and the canon plotline. Entire subzones and several bosses can easily be missed if you do not explore. A plethora of power-ups, armor, and weapons are easily also missed without paying attention. The non-linear design allows you to fight many of the bosses in any order you wish. The downside is that some of these bosses will be extremely weak if you wait too long to fight them. But that's not your fault. You're out gallivanting in Dracula's castle. You're out in your playground and being lost in its immersion. Fan-bloody-tastic, I would say. This is game design. Developers, take note if you haven't already years ago, as many games nowadays could really learn from older games like this. And of course, undoubtedly, many have used this game and others as their inspiration. Save rooms are a very sought after room, which appear as red on your map. The game is plentiful of these, although at times it may seem like you go on for long stretches without them. This is normally down to missing a room on the journey. When playing through the game on my first time, the only major instances where I felt I had not found a save room in quite a while was when making my way through the Royal Chapel and the Marble Gallery to the outer wall. It is never a bad idea to check out each exit from every room and corridor you find yourself in. The same goes for the fast travel mechanic in the game, with the 5 warp rooms, the golden rooms on your map. This feature saves a lot of backtracking. And trust me, when it's your first time playing, you will be getting lost and backtracking a lot. This game has a lot of secret areas, which can be as simple as breaking a wall to find an item or breaking a wall to reveal a room. Some secrets are found by pressing buttons, interacting with the environment, or even entire subzones are found by simply having a skeleton holding a barrel or dynamite exploded on a bridge. This is one I truly love. This is game design, people. The game teaches you of this when you encounter this enemy, and you will remember there was a bridge in the beginning of the area. What you must do is lure the skeleton to this bridge and have him destroy it. Doing this unlocks 2 entirely optional sub-underground sections in the game with the Abandoned Mine and Catacombs, which both house a boss in each section and multiple unique items. One very clever secret is in the clock room, where if you wait long enough, the left statue will move to give access to more areas in the castle, such as the Colosseum. However, one you may not know, which I discovered by complete accident when I used the free time sub-weapon when jumping in this room. It forced the right statue to move, giving access to Alucard's family heirlooms. This game boasts many bosses, 23 encounters, and to my count, I believe 10 are optional, with 6 in the normal castle and 4 in the inverted. It would be a huge pity to miss out on so many bosses, but if you do the bare minimum to get to Richter, you would be surprised by how much of the game you can actually skip and consider optional. All you realistically need to focus on is obtaining the Soul of Bat power-up, and you can encounter him. Symphony of the Night has 6 endings, 4 which can be obtained by Alucard, and 2 further endings by finishing the game by defeating Shaft as Maria or Richter. Once again, to play as these characters, you simply need to clear the game first, and then rename a new save file as either of their name. The worst ending is the most common ending a first-time player will see, because all it requires you to do is defeat Richter. Doing so will destroy Dracula's castle, and Alucard will lament about warfare and the struggle humankind will face. The bad ending is obtained almost the same way as the previous, with defeating Richter. However, this time you must defeat him with the holy glasses equipped. This item will require a lot more gameplay to obtain, as it is part of the game's hidden questline, which continues the story with additional dialogue from Maria. This will require you to obtain 2 important rings known as the Silver Ring and the Gold Ring. The Gold Ring requires you to fight Succubus, who is posing as Lisa, the mother of Alucard. She can be found after obtaining the Soul of Bat, and then head to the underground cavern. Enter the nightmare and slay the Succubus. The Silver Ring requires a lot of additional gameplay. Remember how I said that the abandoned mine and catacombs were optional? Not if you want the holy glasses. First you must find and defeat Olrox in his quarters and obtain an upgrade for your bat form called Echo of Bat. Using this will allow you to use sonar waves to pierce through the darkness. More on that in a moment. Next, you must smash through the bridge in the underground cavern using the skeleton as mentioned before. Fight your way through Cerberus to gain access to the catacombs. Once there, use the sonar ability in the dark room while carefully avoiding the spikes and obtain the Spike Breaker armor shortly thereafter. Now with the Spine Breaker armor, you can destroy spikes when equipped, which will allow you access to a corridor high up in the Royal Chapel. Navigate this corridor, breaking the spikes, use your mist form and get through the final door to meet Maria, who offers more insight and then leaves you with the Silver Ring. With both rings obtained, head to the clock room and equip them. This will then cause the clock to strike multiple times before opening a hidden room. Venture deep into this hidden section and find Maria once more, who will question, are you able to handle this task? Show her you can by besting her, and she will tell you how to use the holy glasses. Equip the holy glasses before fighting Richter and defeat him. This will cause the same CGI movie, but different dialogue, this time between Alucard and Maria. Finally, we reach the part where the inverted castle will make sense. Follow the same steps as the bad ending to obtain the holy glasses, but when you fight Richter with them equipped, opt to destroy the green orb controlling Richter. This allows the game to continue and reveal the next portion. How did you feel about completing the castle? Well, now let's do it all over again, but everything's turned upside down with the inverted castle. This section of the game is no joke, and many creatures' damage is boosted considerably, so if you're not well equipped, you will be in for a harder time. Exploration, just saying. The inverted castle's main requirement is to find and collect the 5 pieces of Velad, which are on 5 specific bosses spread throughout the inverted castle. Once you have all 5 pieces in your inventory, enter the clock room as you did with finding the holy glasses, and you will begin the final battle against Shaft. But wait a moment, defeating Shaft you will find no reprieve. You will learn that he has managed to summon Dracula back into the world, and so begins the true final encounter of Symphony of the Night, father versus son. After a lengthy battle, which requires you to be precise with memorizing attacks to dodge, you will win, and have a haunting exchange between our protagonist and the man he set out to end once and for all. Or be quickly slain and repeat both encounters again, as a single mistake will cost you dearly. Slaying Dracula will cause the castle to vanish, similar to the worst and bad endings, but this time you will learn that Alucard will need to disappear due to his bloodline, and both Maria and Richter are saved. The final ending requires every step outlined thus far to achieve the good ending, but also requires you to explore the game with almost every single nook and cranny unturned, with a massive 196% map completion to boast. The completion can be tracked on your save file, and you can return to the normal castle anytime by using the library card to return to the merchant. So if you did miss a lot of the map, it will be a great idea to use your powers and backtrack. This can also be used to fight any previously skipped bosses. To return to the inverted castle, simply return to the teleporter after Dracula's throne room where you encountered Richter. A good way to plan for this ending is before you unlock the inverted castle is to check how much of the original castle completion you have on your save file. You'll want this as close to 100% as possible. Then play through the inverted and uncovering the map until 196% or higher is achieved. The true ending plays out the exact same as the good ending, except the dialogue changes between Maria and Richter, whereby Maria chooses to not go with him and chooses to follow Alucard instead. I told you exploration was integral to this game. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, all my vampire hunting unicorns. 25 years ago, Konami released this masterpiece into the world, and the gaming world became a whole lot better because of its existence. The depth to this game for its time is outstanding, with enough reasons to have you explore every nook and cranny, every stone unturned in Dracula's castle. The fact that the developers allowed a gigantic portion of the game to be hidden behind a fake ending takes balls, but for those who thoroughly explore, become rewarded so heavily. The game allows a lot of choice with game style choices, from its plethora of equipment and items found throughout to play in whatever way you are comfortable with. The game is absolutely gorgeous, tough but fair gameplay with an amazing sense of progression through its hundreds of rooms. Thank you, Symphony tonight, for handing me my ass in my youth, only to have me come back for revenge all these years later. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and remember to like this video to help me with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. And until we meet again, my unicorn, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Take care. From the outset, although Metroid had influence on this title, it was modelled more closely after the legend.